So you know I love y'all, right? I'm sorry. I really do love y'all, and I really do care about y'all well-being and my desire is to help you get what's best, to help you receive what's best for you, right? But I also have to be real with y'all. Like to love someone and not be real with them, it doesn't work. And in being honest with y'all, I have to say there's a lot of women out there causing problems. Now, listen, that may or may not be you. And if it is you, don't feel attacked, right? Just understand we got some things to discuss. And I want to make you aware of, because sometimes it's not being done maliciously. You just may not know any better. And so, yes, when I say causing problems, I mean causing problems for men or making the dating and relationships a lot more difficult than it needs to be for themselves, okay? Because they don't understand the things that don't sit well with men. Now, I know some of you or many of you watch these videos and you're like, well, Stephan, why is it always about the men? Why is it about what we have to do for them? Here's the thing I want you to understand. One, I do have a channel for men, right? Even though I need to get back to keeping up with it consistently, but I do have many videos for men. I have books for men. I do speak to men. But the same way, if I'm coaching people, I have to speak from the perspective of who I'm talking to in that moment. Okay? So, me telling you these things does not mean it absolves men of their responsibility in creating better dating situations, better relationships, better marriages, and so on. It's just that me speaking all that on a channel that women are watching doesn't do anything for you. It might make you feel good because like, oh, well, you're hearing me speak to them. But it's like, no, if it's not going to the audience that needs to hear it, what point is that? I want to make sure that you get the information that you need to be able to, because you have to focus on what you can control. That's the best way to put it. And worrying about what they or they should not be doing, it's more about understanding what you can and should do to give yourself the best chances of getting the best results. Plain and simple. But it's not to blame you. It's not to put all responsibility on you. It's just to empower you. All right. Now, with that said, I want to help you understand some of the things that women do that men hate very much. Okay. And again, if you get called out on some of these, just take a deep breath and hear the explanation and understand how this can be done in a much better way. And so one of the first things I want to mention of what women do that men hate is trying to make them jealous or compete for them. Now, I know this whole competing thing, like a lot of people are hearing on the internet, men say that. Well, the women have to compete for them, they're the prize, blah, blah, blah. Then of course, you have women who feel like the men should be competing for them. Everybody feels like they're supposed to be the one everybody's competing for. Here's the thing. One, I believe that both men and women are the prize. I don't believe one specific gender is the prize. I believe they both are. And the way to look at it as when two people come together who are in love with each other and pouring into each other, and you ask them who's the prize, they're not going to say, oh, it's me. They look at each other. They look at the other as their blessing, and they are blessings to each other. So that's a mentality I want everyone to have, men and women. However, with this idea that the men should be competing for you, I'm seeing, and one of the big reasons why I made this first on the list, because I recently had a coaching session where a woman was advised by another woman that the man she was interested in has to see her as someone he has to compete for, and that she should basically convey to this man how she's dating other men and she's doing this, that, and the other, because that will win his interest. Now, it didn't work out for her. And when she told me what she was advised, I was like, of course it didn't work out for you, because that's not what the average man wants. This idea of men being hunters, one, understand this. That's a very old-fashioned, it's true to a certain extent. Let me not even call it old-fashioned, because it is true to a certain extent even to this day. But the hunter mentality more so is in the regular dating game, wanting to be out there in these streets, dealing with different women, looking for women to conquer. That's where this hunter mentality really kicks in. What people don't understand and realize is that when a man has genuine romantic interest, and genuine romantic interest for a man means he is now more emotionally invested. That hunter mentality starts to go out the window, okay? If not completely. Because now having to chase, compete, that doesn't play well to him, especially in this world where a lot of men are being fed this idea that there's a saying that says, what is it? It's not you, it's just your turn. I think I'm saying it right. If there's a guy watching this video, he can correct me in the comment section. But essentially, it's like, okay, this woman's just going to be with you for now, but when she finds something better, she'll leave. So when you present to this man this persona of, and let me correct it right now before I continue. As a single woman, you're free to do whatever the hell you want to do, all right? So if you genuinely are dating multiple men and that's what you decide is best for you and you can handle it and you can properly evaluate those men that way, so be it, right? And I would never want you to lie about it. However, there is no need to throw it in anyone's face. There is no need to weaponize it. And there's no need to think that somehow that's going to help you with a genuine relationship being built with somebody. Okay? So you can do what you want, but don't get it confused with the impact it can have when it is used the wrong way. So in this instance where she was told to tell this guy, and again, don't lie in the sense of you're not dating all these men, but you want to present this image because you're thinking it's going to make you look more desirable. No. Now, is there some truth to a lot of men liking a woman who is viewed as desirable? Of course. But they also like women who are viewed as untouchable. Okay? And when I say untouchable, I don't want y'all to go straight to sexual, even though for a lot of men that too, to be honest, if we're keeping it real. But just like she doesn't give access to everybody. She doesn't entertain everybody. She is very selective, right? And that is attractive. That can add to a woman's desirability, all right? But this idea that, oh, she's entertaining a bunch of different men because she's so desirable. No, because again, now it could make him feel like, okay, is she playing games? Am I just another guy on her roster, right? How serious is she about trying to be in a relationship? That's why you'll come across these situations where a lot of women will meet men who aren't serious, who are playing the field, right? So they assume that that's the way it should be done on both sides. Then they'll one day meet a guy who's actually very intentional and tells them straight up, hey, if we're going to be talking to each other, I'm not comfortable with you seeing other people. And you have people now who view that as a problem. And it's like, why is that the problem? He's being straightforward. He's being intentional. And you have to understand, when a guy is more serious, he's at least more likely to lean towards that approach versus the guy who's just all over the place because there's a more of a greater chance that he's just trying to have fun anyway. So either way, trying to make the man jealous, make him feel like he has to compete, all these things, a lot of men, especially in today's world where now you also have more damaged men, more men who are lacking healing, and those types of environments can create or pull out insecurities, can create a level of not feeling settled and not feeling like the woman is serious. It can derail a lot of things. And yes, a lot of men just flat out do not like it. All right, so another common thing that men hate that women do, a lot of women do, is taking the relationship to social media. Now, originally I was going to put that later in the list, but something just told me, no, speak about it early in the video, okay? And the reality is that we live in a world that's very social media driven, very digitally driven, right? And a lot of people, and of course not everybody, some of you watching may not ever engage in these types of behaviors, but a lot of people are quick to want to post, whether it be pictures or tweets or whatever, about their situation, about their relationship, about who they're dating and all these different things. Now, you do have women who are becoming more private with it. And I'll be honest with you, I think everybody needs to be more private, to be honest with you. And let me say this early on, because I think there's this ongoing conflicting battle between Well, if you can't put it on social media, what are you hiding? But then on the other side, it's like, well, why we got to put it on social media? Because that just creates more problems in a lot of situations. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I lean towards the why we got to put everything on social media. Okay. Now I understand the argument of at least once in a relationship or once married, people feeling like, well, you should post your partner. But even then, why should you have to if that relationship is as strong as it needs to be otherwise? And if it's not as strong as it needs to be otherwise, posting a picture ain't gonna save it, right? But the reason why I lean more towards the private part is one, understand this is all very new, relatively new. You know, in the span of the existence of humanity, this was not a factor. This was not an issue. And people were doing just fine, okay? And now you have this dynamic of social media that I think people don't realize all you're doing is inviting outside people unnecessarily into your relationship in various ways. All right. And again, I have to just quick note for some of you thinking, but then these men, they need to let it be known they're in a relationship. Okay, cool. But if he's misbehaving on the internet, whether he posts that woman or not does not change that. And here's the crazy part. Sometimes posting the woman brings him more women. Okay? Like, it's crazy. Like, it's kind of the phenomenon. I don't know if some of you have heard it, where I've talked to countless men who will say, when they go out and they're wearing their wedding ring, they get way more attention than they ever did when they were single. Or if one day they go out without their ring, they don't get as much attention anymore. All right? So there's this belief by some people that, oh, well, if you need to show the person off, it's like, you don't realize you put it on display for people out there who will look at it as an opportunity, not as a, oh, let me respect the relationship. But aside from the sharks in the water, right, you're inviting all these outside voices. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of the men who I've spoken to don't like about the whole quick to post things on social media, is because now a relationship by itself, building a relationship with somebody, can be difficult for various reasons. And I'm talking about outside of two people not needing to be together because they're just not right for each other. I'm saying there's already the outside noise sometimes of family, friends, and different factors that might make things difficult for various reasons, right? But then you add internet, and it's like a whole nother layer where you can start, people have started to have seeds being planted of negativity because of it. People now hitting you up, people starting to stir up trouble where they're making up lies just to, because they don't like you. There's all kinds of stuff, man. Like I've seen so many different scenarios, and I'm just like, why do we have to make this such a thing, right? Focus on the relationship. Focus on what's actually going on. Of course, put up the boundaries. Discuss social media etiquette, right? All these different things. But aside from posting, because some people don't mind the posting part, here's the other layer of it that the men have expressed they do not like, is when there is a problem, you run into social media and posting about that. All right, you're letting people know you're having problems in your relationship. And you may think you're being subliminal about it, but people are picking up on it. And again, it draws the sharks. There are sharks out there. As a woman, you have some sharks that are the men who are waiting for an opening to try to work their way in, or to make some things happen. You have the sharks of the other women who hate you, women who want your man, all kinds of possibilities, okay? So again, be mindful of that. I do think at the very least, while in the dating process and early on relationship, it's like, let's focus on solidifying the foundation of the relationship before we start inviting too many different factors into it, right? And then once we're on the same page, we're strong, everything's what it needs to be. All right, if both of y'all are on the same page about posting and doing this, cool. But the one thing I think you should never do, regardless, is post your business as far as when there's troubles and things of that nature on social media. And that's why I don't even like the posting in general, because like, all right, well then you're gonna post all the good stuff when in reality there's a bunch of mess going on. Either way, it's just a lot of unnecessary stuff. All right, so another big thing that women do that men hate is when you when you assume and then accuse. Okay. So let me say this. One, I'm a firm believer in women's intuition, and I will never want to tell a woman to go against what her intuition is saying to her, right? But I do understand and recognize that some women have not completely tapped into it or don't fully embrace it in a way that allows them to be guided properly. And because of that, sometimes women now mistake their own fears and them getting in their own head and maybe sometimes claiming it was intuition, but no, if they really sat down, it was like, no, that was just me coming to certain conclusions. And because women, a lot of women, not all, but a lot of women tend to be, you guys pay attention to a lot of things, all right? And you catch a lot of details, right? You catch a lot of the small things. And all of that adds up to a lot of analyzation, sometimes over-analyzation, overthinking. And when you mix that with having already experienced anything hurtful, traumatic, whatever, negative in the past with men, it can be very easy for a lot of women to then jump straight to negative conclusions, all right? And then it's one thing to jump to a negative conclusion and make certain assumptions, but then to attack based off of that. So not verifying anything, not having a discussion first and then going from there. No, just boom. And a lot of that is a built-in defense mechanism. It's kind of like, I'm gonna hit you before you hit me. I'm not gonna let you embarrass me. I'm not gonna let you disrespect me, even though that's not what's actually happening. But because you are so concerned with that being the case, you get ahead of yourself, all right? And so I have to also say this, that is bad enough in itself. And it's happened to a lot of women, a lot of people. It can happen on both sides, right? What compounds it is after you do it, and let's say you accuse the man of something and he's like, no, that's not actually what happened, and he shows you were wrong. There are many who, rather than just say, you know what, I overreacted, I'm sorry, my apologies. It's like, oh, well, you shouldn't have done this thing anyway. It's like somehow, rather than take any accountability, she finds some other way to still absolve herself and say, well, you're still doing this, or boom, boom, boom. And it's like, well, damn, so I can't win with you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to try to jump to conclusions. You're going to attack me. And then even when I show you you're wrong, you can't accept that and make it right. And so that whole thing really takes a toll on a lot of men. Now, here's I would say, a very sad, unfortunate thing. Because a lot of men view this as, this is just how women are. Like, basically, you're going to get it from any woman you deal with. A lot of them, even though they don't like it, even though they hate it, that doesn't mean they'll leave you for it. All right? There's a lot of men who will just deal with it, suck it up, and try to push things along. But are they happy with it? No. Is it creating cracks in the relationship? Absolutely. And can it lead to bigger problems? Most definitely. All right? So you cannot be fooled into thinking that, well, he ain't leave me, so it must not have been that bad. No, no, I'm sorry. That's not the case. That's not the case. So you have to be mindful of that. Now, the way to correct this issue, if you have engaged, and listen, no one's perfect. So again, even if you make changes, you may one day let your emotions get the best of you. And that's why the key is, in the moments that you let this happen, you have to at least be willing to take accountability when it turns out you were wrong, or when you can acknowledge the way you went about it was wrong. Because sometimes you weren't wrong for what you assumed, but or accused, but you were wrong for how you went about it, right? And it could have been handled in a better, more mature, calm manner, okay? So at least if you're willing to do that, and it shows the man, okay, well, she can at least take accountability, then that helps a lot. But to help you not even go that far, I want to encourage you to pray before you react, okay? Or if you're not a believer, meditate. Take a step back, take a deep breath, right? Allow yourself to be calm and not just reactive, okay? And again, rather than assume, discuss. Rather than accuse, discuss. Let him speak his piece. And again, if he's full of it, if he actually is doing something wrong, it's going to show itself even more in that discussion. You have to always look at the discussion as your way to gain more clarity. And then for some of you who might say, well, when I try to talk to him, he don't want to talk. Well, then that's also exposing him. If you're coming at him in a calm, mature, healthy manner, and he is unwilling to address your issues and concerns, well, then that shows he is either not mature, not healthy, not serious, something is wrong, right? But that only gets exposed by you going about it the right way. Because if you go about it the wrong way, you don't get to really see how he properly handled, how he's reacting to things, right? So with all that said, assuming and accusing, definitely something that the men hate, that women do. All right, so let's keep this thing going. And another thing men hate that women do is overlooking or dismissing their effort, okay? So I see this a lot in long-term relationships and marriages that I've sat down with. And you'll have this situation where, let's just say, even the dating phase, right? Where a man, let's say for a month, right? He's going hard. He's showing up the way he needs to show up. He's putting in all the effort, right? And doing his best to show her that he's being intentional and serious about her. And then one day, let's say he drops the ball. He makes a mistake. I don't know. Let's say he was supposed to do something for you and he completely forgot, or that's what he told you. He completely forgot, didn't get it done. And you feel like, how could you have forgotten? I told you, I reminded you, boom, boom. And in that moment of being upset about what's happening, the woman essentially dismisses and devalues all the effort that this man has been making. So it's like, rather than looking at it like, okay, this man has been so amazing to me, but he made this mistake. Instead, it's like, oh, this mistake means you were never really that serious, or you can't be trusted. It's like he's defined by the mistake, not by all the things that he did before that was good. And for a man, that can be so deflating, so frustrating. And again, that it doesn't just happen in the dating, as I mentioned, long-term relationships, marriages, where husband will come to me like, man, I've been trying, I'm doing everything. And it's like, it's never good enough. Or the minute it's not as perfect as she wants, it's like nothing else matters. Nothing else that I've been doing matters. There's no acknowledgement of it. There's no appreciation of it. And so I can tell you in marriages, and this can also happen, of course, in the other relationship dynamics, but in marriages, what happens a lot of times is that if there was a season of struggles in that marriage, and that man was doing a lot of things wrong, right? And let's say now they come to me, and let's say it's been going on for a long time, because for various reasons, they just were not getting on the same page. Things have not been going right. Now they finally go to counseling or whatever. So now I'm like, all right, well, this is what needs to happen. You do this, boom, boom. In that woman's mind, it's, I can't let myself trust that you turned this corner, because the minute I let myself trust that you finally turned the corner and change, you're going to let me down again. And because I don't want to be let down again, or I don't want to fall into that trap, she doesn't allow herself to embrace what he's actually doing. It's like she keeps telling herself, I got to see more. I need to see more. I need to see more. But there comes a point where he's like, well, dang, I'm showing, and nothing's being acknowledged or recognized or appreciated. And it reaches a point of feeling like, this doesn't work. So why am I still doing this? Why does it even matter anymore if it's not going to mean anything to this woman? Or I'm still going to be reminded of the mistakes, and not the good that I'm actually trying my hardest to give her. And so again, that same defense mechanism can happen in the dating phase where a lot of women don't allow themselves to embrace the good that the man is doing, because she feels like the minute I let my guard down, because to her it's I'm letting my guard down by believing this is good, this man is genuine, this man is real, only for him to end up hurting me, and now I'm devastated. So instead, I'm going to constantly be guarded from fully accepting this. But to that man, it's draining. It's draining, it's defeating, and it just feels like I can't get past your walls. You know what I'm saying? And his desire, love, his interest in that woman can only take him so far, especially if we combine her concerns with his own fears and concerns, and now situations get derailed because people have their walls up. And I always say the same walls you have up to protect you are the same walls blocking your blessings. So you've got to be able to look at the big picture, because here's the reality. Men and women are going to make mistakes. I don't care how much someone loves you. I don't care how much you love them. You deal with someone long enough, there's going to be some misunderstandings, there's going to be some mistakes. You can't try to define them by that. Now, of course, there are some issues that go way beyond just a simple mistake. But for the most part, these moments where people fall short, rather than use that as a chance to attack or diminish and devalue all that's been done, recognize it as the isolated incident that it is, you know what I'm saying? And work from there. But remind yourself that this person has been good. Now, that's very different from someone who is consistently bad, but then makes an even bigger mistake and then has moments of good. All right, well, then that person is showing you that the overall big picture with them is unhealthy and not good, so you don't need to be dealing with them. But we're talking about the guy who's doing good, but he's going to have some moments where, yeah, he doesn't get it completely right, and you don't want to dismiss and devalue all that he's trying to do, as well as when he is trying, making him feel like it's not enough. If it's not enough, okay, discuss it while still acknowledging what he's been giving you, right? And saying, well, I would like to see more of boom, boom, boom. And sometimes the more that you want is just what he's not capable to give. Other times, he just doesn't understand the more that you need. And once you make it clear to him, he can correct it. All right, so we got a couple more to go. And so another thing that men hate that women do is not being transparent and specific with them, okay? So I know a lot of women just think or assume that, no, the people who aren't being transparent are the men, and the people who aren't being honest are the men, and all these things, right? And I get that. However, you got to take a step back and recognize that a lot of women aren't as transparent as they might lead themselves to believe, okay? And even if it's not you, a lot of other women aren't that you might think are. And so one of the reasons why that happens is because a lot of women, when dating, feel like, well, why should I have to tell this man this? Why should I have to be this clear and specific? Like, is he stupid? In many cases, yeah, kind of. Like, just a little bit, maybe. It's not stupid in the sense of like he has no sense, but it's just that he may be ignorant to what you specifically need and desire, how you see things, what you see as necessary boundaries, what you see as inappropriate behavior. There are going to be differences from from person to person. And so this is why it's so important to have all these discussions as early as possible, so that we can make clear how we see these things, and then we can see if we're on the same page about it. And again, assuming this whole common sense ideology and thinking that, well, he's a grown man, blah, 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 a lot doesn't get said, okay? And now what's so interesting is that you'll have women who will complain or take issue with men not being straightforward, being very vague, kind of dancing around stuff, not realizing they're doing the same thing. Not realizing that when he's asking you a question, you're not being very direct about it. And the thing is, whatever we want, the things that we want out of our relationship, we have to make sure we're pouring into it as well. And I think to some extent, right, when it comes to things like honesty, well, we got to make sure we're being honest. We want transparency. We got to make sure we're being transparent. We want openness. We got to make sure we're being open. We want vulnerability. We got to make sure we're being vulnerable, and so on and so on and so forth. But a lot of people are wanting that while not giving it. And for a lot of women, it's being masked or shielded under the, well, he's supposed to be pursuing me and he's supposed to be making these efforts and he has to show me that he's worthy enough of me giving him all these things. And it's like, he's a human being too. He needs those things reciprocated too. And if you can't meet him in the middle with that, what is he supposed to think? You know, just as you have concerns about the man playing you and not being serious, the men have those concerns too. You know what I'm saying? So everyone has to make sure they're making a mutual effort. That's the whole thing. It ain't about this one doing this. It's about both sides making a mutual effort, getting on the same page, pouring into each other, trying to build a healthy relationship. And no one having to chase after no one. All right? Two people coming together. That's the way it's supposed to be. So, not being direct, not being transparent, definitely something that a lot of men wish more women would engage or don't like when women do. All right, so we're going to give you a bonus one real quick, okay? So another thing that men hate that women do, a lot of men hate that women do, is being overly dramatic. A drama queen, okay? So, not going to make this too long. Bottom line is, there's a lot of women out there who can be very intense about how they react to certain things, right? And they make certain issues, at least in that man's eyes, bigger than it has to be. Now, I understand and recognize that sometimes you have men who will try to minimize a situation that is legitimately serious or your reaction is valid about, right? And them trying to minimize it is them in a way deflecting from their responsibility and the role they played in it. However, there are also many situations where it does not have to become something so huge, yet the woman, in a lot of people's eyes, blows it out of proportion. Now, what I want to tell you is this. If you are that woman that can be overdramatic when it comes to maybe blowing things out of proportion, right? A lot of times that's happening because you're suppressing too much and you're not fully expressing yourself in the little moments, the things where maybe it's not that crazy, not that serious, and then it starts to pile up, and then when that thing happens, it all comes out. So what he views as you being overly dramatic in this situation is really a combination of a bunch of situations that's now being released, not just this. But to him, it doesn't match up. The intensity of your reaction doesn't match up with what's happening in that moment. So it's confusing, it's frustrating, it causes problems. So the way that you combat this is you make sure you're always expressing yourself. You're establishing an environment with this man that you can talk about your concerns, your issues, your feelings, let things out, right? And even not just with him, I think having that friend, confidant, somebody that you can talk to sometimes release and vent is also good in helping you not have these moments where it becomes this huge outburst. Also, what's going to help is healing from past issues, because sometimes the outburst is not due to all the things that he did, but due to all the things you've been through in the past in combination with what's happening right now with him, and then boom, it all comes out. All right. And I'm only giving you one aspect of the whole being overly dramatic, but I think this is probably or arguably one of the most important ones, the ones that the men have expressed not liking, okay, and taking issue with. So healing, having someone that you can talk to, and being able to talk to that man. And again, if you can establish healthy communication with that man, well, then that's just exposing to you right there that maybe this ain't for you, or this guy ain't for you. But at least by doing that, you lessen the chances of you everything being more than it needs to be. And let me also say this. The being overly dramatic, forget him for a second. I don't want you putting that stress on yourself. Like sometimes you gotta just take a deep breath, give it to God, and just move forward. Like some things ain't worth you getting all hyped about because all it does is make you sick, stressed, frustrated, or throws you off. You may not get certain things done you need to because it threw off your whole day. Like you can't let it get the best of you, for your own health, for your own sanity, for your own peace. So learning how to better handle those situations, not getting so invested in things that just are not that important, or there are things that are completely out of your control, so there's no point in dwelling on it. And it's like, I forgot the proper saying, but essentially it's like worrying is like not trusting God to handle it. It's something like that. Either way, put your trust in God and don't let those situations get the best of you. Thank you for watching this video. I pray it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on 7 things a man needs more than sex to fall deeply for you. Your awareness to understand this ain't the time to be trying to stress him out about something. This ain't the time to ask him, why didn't you take the garbage out yesterday?